Okay, so we've now completed the hardware build itself and finished installing the components. So the last few components that we have installed are the PSU. We've installed the PSU with the cabling. We've installed the scratch hard drive, which is a 2.5 inch scratch drive on the back. We've installed the fan controllers on the back to obviously control fans, and hooked up the bottom I/O adapter as well as the top mounted I/O adapter. So the major components are now all connected, and obviously the hardware build is complete. So we have the motherboard in, the GPU is in, the DIMM.2 adapter is in, the CPU cooler is in. We have our 10 fans, so we've got 3 Leon Lee fans across the top. We've got our radiator in the back with 3 Leon Lee fans in the front and 3 Leon Lee fans in the bottom. Those Leon Lee fans are all 120mm fans. So, and we have got one additional Noctua fan which was supplied with the radiator, or for the radiator in the back. We've used it as our single exhaust fan on the side over there. So now our cables are connected from the motherboard to the PSU, the power unit. So essentially, with the hardware build is now completed, and we are ready to do its first power on self-test or post to check to see if we can get it to post and to get to the BIOS to check that all the components are running well, and we can check the temperatures and some of the checks to make sure everything is fine. So with that, we will turn on the main power source. So the main power source to the build is now on. So hopefully we're getting some lights. Okay, so we're getting some lights on the front. That's good. The CPU is now turned on. The motherboard is turned on. So we'll now fire up and do a post. So we've got some lights happening, so that's always a positive. So while it's posting, it should go through and do a series of checks. So far, so good. Right, okay, so it's done its internal checking, and the BIOS has booted. So I'm just going to check now to see what that's telling us. So everything there is looking okay. We've got our frequency, so it's telling us our frequency at the moment is our top frequency is 4.9 megahertz. Its current running temperature is 25 degrees. Its core voltage is 1.27 volts. Our RAM is currently running at 4,000 megahertz. It's also telling us our capacity for our DIMM.2 drives here is 64. Oh, sorry, that is our capacity for our RAM. So we've got 4 sticks of DDR5 RAM, which is 64 gig there of RAM. So everything there is looking well. So that's good news. So I would say we've now had a successful post. Our next task is to power down and we'll insert a flash drive with Windows 11 and some additional drivers to enable the DIMM.2 adapter to run in a RAID 0, which is how we've set it up. Something else I think is worth mentioning is with setting up our fans, what we have found is that we've had to run two fan controllers. So we've got a fan controller which that came with the Leon Lee fan. So we have our Leon Lee fans connected to a Leon Lee fan controller, which is also connected to a USB header on the motherboard. But we've got that, what I'm calling controller number 1, also connected to a secondary fan controller, which is receiving some messages from the all-in-one CPU cooler via a USB connector, which is connecting that controller to the Leon Lee controllers, which should give us the ability, once we're into the system later on, to determine how we want to control the fan management once we start doing overclocking. So we should be able to check, or we should be able to manage our fan ramp speeds and RPMs either via the Leon Lee software controller or possibly the Armoury Crate fan control system. So which one is the best for managing those, particularly when we get into the overclocking process. We'll have to see what happens once we get into that, which one is best. So with that, I think we will now power down. We will insert the flash drive to get Windows 11 installed and the drivers. Once we've got Windows 11 in there, we can put all the covers on the top. So there's a cover that goes on top. It's a mesh cover that sits on top here. So obviously the fans are drawing through that. There is a side, well, that should be the front, so it'll be a front glass cover, and also there is a glass front, also that'll be a side cover here. So we'll install those. There's a mesh panel that goes on the back. Once that's all done, we can then take this case and move it to its final location in the office. So Captain Cranky is built, and Captain Cranky is still running at, what is he running at? He's running at 27 degrees, so he's calm and collected. So with that, we'll power down, get Windows 11 installed, which will be ready for us to start loading software and putting Captain Cranky to work. Thanks for watching the video, and be sure to check out our other videos on the channel. Also, click the like and the subscribe buttons below. Leave us a comment if you have any questions about Advanced Steel, or if there are specific topics you would like us to cover. And remember, if your job's worth doing, it's worth doing right.